Howdy y'all, thank you for joining us today for this playthrough of Marvel Champions the card game, the Venom Hero Pack. This is going to be a playthrough of the deck straight from the box. All I did was sleeve it up. I've already given it quite a few shuffles here, but this is what I like to do is just take the deck and put it up against the starter deck of the Rhino deck, which comes in the core box. The only thing that's going to be different is oh, I didn't grab the standard. Let me grab the standard. Well, I'll grab them when I go to it. Only thing that's going to be different is normally it recommends to put Bomb Scare in here along with the Rhino deck and the standard cards. Instead, I'm going to hit the randomizer and we're going to get a random side thing to put in with it. Or side scheme. Or I guess encounter. Side encounter, I believe is what they're called. Alright. This was just me testing out the randomizer. What all I'm going to look for is whatever ends up over here. So, Master of Time. I know that might mess it up a little bit, make it harder, but it just gives some variance to see some interesting things, to see how the deck also stands up against something random other than just the straight up starter deck from the collector or from the core box. But yep, let me go ahead and grab that standard deck to mix in and the Master of Time. Well, that was faster than I thought it would be. And sorry if the sound's a little off. I'm actually trying something new with the microphones. Like I said, I'm constantly trying to work with the sound because I realize that it's one of the biggest issues I have is sound and light. Yep, so we're gonna shuffle all this stuff in. First thing, like I said, we have the Rhino deck. We have the Obligation for Venom, which will get shuffled in there. And then Time Displaced Soldiers. And the Standard. Alright. Just going to cut out a little bit while I do the shuffling. Alright, now that I got these shuffled up, let's go ahead and just put them over here. And this is your first time to join me. Basically what I like to do, along with just putting the straight up hero pack up against the starter deck, starter villain, I also like to sit and, for the first round, I try to teach. It's not a full teach, but it's just enough to where if somebody is checking this out for the first time to see if it's something they're interested in playing, they can at least follow along. So the first round is going to be kind of boring if you already know how to play the game, as I kind of just go through the quick teach as I'm also playing through the first round. But thank you for joining me, and we will get into this. So all it is this is a co-op game that can normally be played multiplayer. In the solo, which is what we're going to be doing today, it's just going to be my deck versus the Rhino deck. Basically, Rhino here, and there's two stages of him in this 1 and 2. And basically, he is trying to break into the shield facility to steal some vibranium. It is our job to try to stop him. The way we stop him is we have to knock him out. And when we knock him out, that takes out one stage, and then he'll go to his second stage, and then we just got to knock him out again. So in order for us to win, we just have to knock him out twice. For his first stage, he starts with 14 hit points per player, so he's going to start at 14 hit points. And then, once we knock him out, he'll go to his stage 2, which will give him 15 hit points per player. Now, we lose and he wins if he can pull off his scheme, which he's going to be trying to put threat on his scheme, which is him pulling this scheme off of breaking into the shield facility. And if he ever gets 7 threat here per number of players, then he wins. So if he gets 7 threat on there, he's going to win because we're playing solo. Or if he can manage to knock me out. Now it tells me here at the bottom of Flash Thompson, which is the alter ego where you start at for Venom, that my starting hit points are 12 and my hand size is 6. So 12 hit points. And if he can manage to knock me out of my 12 hit points, or in a multiplayer, knock everybody out, then he wins. So we're going to be going back and forth, where I am just trying to knock him out twice, or he's trying to knock me out or pull off his scheme. As I said, we start with the alter ego form of the character we're playing, and his ability is, I can control one additional upgrade that has the restricted keyword. An upgrade is basically a thing that comes into play, but normally if it has the restricted keyword, you can only have up to 2 cards that have restricted on them. He gives you to where you can have 3. And then the other ability he has here is Armed and Ready, which says at setup, discard cards from the top of my deck until I discard a weapon upgrade, then add that card to my hand. Now that is going to be the last part of setup. The part I have not done yet is we have to draw up to our hand size, which is 6 at the moment. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then for the last part of upgrade, we have to do the other setup, which was discard cards from the top of my deck until I discard a weapon upgrade, then add that card to my hand. So we discard. That is not, it is a resource. It is not an upgrade. So that goes to my discard. And this is an upgrade, and it's a weapon. So this will go into my hand. On the hero's turn, you're going to be taking actions. One of the actions that you can do is you can play these cards from your hand, as long as you are in proper form. Like in this case, you have to be in a hero form in order to play this event. Same here, hero form, hero form. I'm wanting to play this card. In order to play this card, it has a cost up here at the top. In order to pay that cost, if you'll notice at the bottom of all these cards, they have what looks like little resource symbols on them. In order to pay the cost of a card, I have to discard cards equal to that number of resources. Or discard resources, equal to that number. So in order to play this card, I have to pay 4 resources. So 1, 2, 3, 4 resources. Discard. And now I get to play this card. This is an ally card, so it comes out into play here. And this is its abilities and actions it can do, and it's how many hit points it has. Normally, these are damage counters, but I like to go ahead and put the counters on here and just remove them. That way, it's just a little easier to keep track of things. For another action, once per turn, you can flip your character from alter ego to hero form, or vice versa, hero to alter ego form. Now be aware that when you do this, they have different actions that they could do on the left side, and it also is going to change our hand size, which matters at the end of our turn. And it's also going to give us other abilities. Like in this one, he keeps his ability of being able to control an additional restricted upgrade. But now he has a symbiotic bond, which is a resource action, which means resource was the action we were doing to pay for a card. So when we're doing that resource action of discarding, I can choose to take 1 damage to generate a wild resource once per phase. So during the hero phase, 1 time I can choose to just, when paying for a card, take 1 damage to get that as a wild resource. Another action that your hero can do is they can do what's called a basic action, which is the actions on the left side here. As an action, I can choose to exhaust my character to thwart the scheme, which what that would do is it means I would go over to the scheme and I would remove a number of threat equal to whatever number is showing here on this thwart. In this case, there is no threat on the scheme, so I'm not going to thwart. But I can also exhaust my character to attack a villain or minion or something for 2 damage. as you see with this number here. What defense is if I'm being attacked, I can choose to exhaust my character, and I would reduce the attack that comes in by this number here. And I'm going to go back to this other side just to talk about this basic action. This basic action, if I was on this side, I could choose to exhaust him, and I can recover this number of hit points to my hit points. But in this case, we're on this side. I'm going to exhaust Venom to attack Rhino for 2 damage. So attack Rhino for 2 damage, taking him to 12. Now with allies, you'll notice they have the same actions off to the side here, but you'll notice they have an extra little star underneath the thwart and the attack. Those are called consequence stars. So if this character were to do the thwart or attack action, it would also take a consequence equal to the number of stars depending on the action it did. So in this case, if Jack Flag were to thwart or attack, he would take 1 consequence star in damage for doing such attack. Now, Jack Flag has a responsibility here, which basically says that after Jack Flag thwarts, I get to put an ammo counter on him. And then as a hero action, which means an action that I can choose to do as long as I'm in hero form, which I am, I can exhaust Jack Flag and remove 1 ammo counter from him to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So this is one of those characters I kind of want to... I could just have him attack for 1 damage, but then he would be taking damage and slowly dying. Or I could just kind of get KO'd. They don't really die in here, sorry. But I'd rather just hold out and have him slowly thwart the threat off the scheme for me, since he has a better thwart than I do with Venom. And then slowly he'll also help me do damage. So really I brought him out just to kind of help me keep the scheme under control, while I have Venom hopefully just do a lot of damage to Rhino. Now for another action, I can play another card from my hand, so I want to play Savage Attack here. It costs 2 resources to play, so I'm going to discard this one, and then I'm going to use Venom's Symbiotic Bond, which because it's during the resource section, or I guess stage area right now, I can take 1 damage to generate a wild resource. So I'm going to take 1 damage. So now I have the 2 resources to pay for this. I do not gain the second part of this, which is overkill. But what overkill is it basically means if I'm attacking, say, a minion, and it only had 3 hit points, since I'm doing 5 damage, it would do 3 damage to the minion, and then the rest would carry over to Rhino. Basically overkill over to Rhino. In this case, I'm just going to do the 5 damage to Rhino, so it doesn't matter that I didn't trigger this second part. And I should also mention an event is basically just a 1-time use card that you're playing, and this is an attack. And once again, it's a hero action, an action I'm doing during my turn, and I have to be in hero form, and it's considered an attack. For 5 damage to Rhino, taking him to 7. And then now, I have no more actions that I want to do on my turn. So you basically, once you have no more actions that you want to do, or you have no actions you can do, you can choose to go to the end part of your phase. And at the end part, first you would discard any cards you have, or any cards you do not want to hold into your hand. In this case, I have no cards in hand, so we're going to go past that. And then next, you would draw up to whatever your current hand size is. Remember, in the alter ego form, I had a hand size of 6. Now my hand size is 5. So I'm going to draw up to 5 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then after you draw up, you unexhaust or ready all of your cards in your play area. And then that's it on the hero phase, and we move to the villain phase. The first step of the villain phase is the villain is going to accelerate its scheme. So you would look here and see how much threat gets added on as an acceleration of the scheme. In this case, it says 1 threat per number of players. So solo means it adds 1 threat to the scheme. And that's the first part. The next part is the villain activates. The villain activates dependent upon what form your hero is in. And it activates doing the basic actions here to the side. If my hero is in alter ego form, then the villain will scheme and choose to add more threat to the scheme. If my hero or character is in hero form, then the villain will attack and basically do damage to me or give me the opportunity to defend. In this case, my hero or my character is in hero form, so Rhino is going to choose to attack. I choose not to defend, so Rhino at this point is going to do 2 damage plus, whether he is scheming or attacking, he gets dealt what's called a boost card off the top of the encounter deck. So in this case, he's doing 2 damage, and then we flip this over and we're ignoring the card and just looking at the bottom here. And we're looking at these symbols right here. If the symbols look like this, they just add to whatever he is doing. If there's a star, then we have to look at the card and it tells us what the star does. In this case, since he was attacking me, he's doing 2 damage plus whatever it shows on here. So 2 plus 2 is 4 damage. I did not defend, so 4 damage. Taking me to 7. Next would be the minion activation. If there were any minions in play here, then they would do the same thing like Rhino did, either scheme or attack, depending on what form my character is in. In this case, no minions, so we skip past that. And now we go to the encounter phase. During the encounter phase, or step, each player is dealt 1 encounter card from the top of the deck, and then they have to resolve all encounter cards that are on them. In this case, I had none on me. 1 got dealt to me, so we have to resolve this 1 card, which is Assault. And it says, when revealed, alter ego form, this card gains Surge. What Surge would mean is basically deal myself another card and do that one instead. In this case, when revealed hero, the villain attacks you. Well, I am in hero form, so the villain will be attacking me. I'm going to choose to defend with Venom. So that means whatever damage Rhino does, I reduce by 2. So he's doing 2 plus 0. Another assault. So 2 minus 2. So he does 0 damage to me. And the last part of the villain thing is the first player marker would move to the next player clockwise. In this case, we're solo, so we're just not going to mess with the first player marker. So now we just go back to the hero phase and do it all over again. It's, like I said, it's a really simple game, goes real fast. Now just be aware, now since I defended, remember, I do not ready until the end of my turn. So now I cannot do any of the basic actions with Venom. My first action is going to be, I want to go ahead and bring out Star-Lord here. It costs me 2. So paying 2. And I get to bring Star-Lord into play. Now Star-Lord, he gains the ranged ability. What ranged is there's an ability called Retaliate that are on villains and bad guys and also on good guys that say anytime you're attacked, you just take damage equal to whatever the Retaliate says. Ranged ignores the Retaliate ability. But he has a forced response. It says as a forced response means it is forced. We have to do it as a response. It says after Star-Lord enters play under my control, which he just did, I have to deal myself one face down encounter card. So I deal myself one face down encounter card, and I'm just going to leave it up here because I do not deal with this until that encounter step, which is after the minion phase, during the villain phase. My next action is going to be is I'm going to go ahead and attack with Star-Lord here. Now notice the attack says 2 with an asterisk. That's just to remind us, or star, that's just to remind us that he has the ranged ability, which isn't going to take effect because nobody has retaliate at the moment. But I am going to attack Rhino for 2 damage, so I exhaust Star-Lord to attack Rhino for 2 damage. Attack Rhino for 2 damage. And then now Star-Lord takes a consequence damage for doing that. For my next action, I'm going to switch Venom to his alter ego form. And then I'm going to go to my end step. I have 2 cards in hand. I'm going to choose to discard this card. So now I draw up to my hand size, which is 6. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we ready all of our cards and then go back to the villain phase. He adds 1 threat to the scheme because of acceleration. I'm in alter ego form, so he is going to scheme. So he's doing 1, and then his boost card. Plus 3, so he schemes for 4. Man, he moved straight up to 6, so if he would have had 7, I could lose the game right here. Alright, no minions. We go to the encounter phase, deal ourselves another encounter card, and now we have to hope that neither of these make him scheme. Otherwise, I think I just lost the game. And we have 2 encounter cards now because of Star-Lord, because he dealt us an additional one. But remember, we didn't have to deal with that encounter card until this encounter phase. But now, because of that hard hit from the scheme, we have to worry about whether another scheme, because some of these can make him attack or scheme or do other things. So let's go ahead and see what they do. So the first one is an attachment. We attach this to Rhino. It is a forced interrupt. When any amount of damage would be dealt to Rhino, place it here instead. Then, if there's at least 5 damage here, discard Armored Rhino Suit. So basically we have to do 5 damage to this first before we can start damaging Rhino again. And then our next card is a minion. We have Sandman here. So he's going to have 4 hit points, a 2 scheme, and a 3 attack. And then he starts with toughness. What tough is it's basically this card, and what it does is when this goes on a character, it makes it to where that character, the next time they would take damage, instead, this goes away instead of them taking damage. So this is going to make him a little harder, a little tougher to defeat. And then now, since that was the encounter phase, and we already went past the minion phase, he doesn't get to do anything till the next minion phase. But we are going to have to take him out, otherwise he'll start scheming and attacking also, and that's 3 attack and scheme. Now the difference between the minion is, when they attack or scheme, they do not get the boost card to increase what they're doing. So that was the encounter step, so we go back to the beginning of my turn. For my first action, I am going to flip Flash Thompson to his hero form, Venom. Next, I'm going to have Jack Flag thwart that scheme to remove 2 threat. And as a response, it says after Jack Flag thwarts, place 1 ammo counter on him. 1 ammo counter. And then also, because he thwarted, he has to take 1 consequence damage. Next, I'm going to play behind enemy lines here. It costs me 2. And that's where cards like this come in good. Notice it's got 2 resources down here at the bottom. So this 1 card counts as 2 resources. And they were both the mental resource. So I am a hero. In hero form, I mean. It is an event. Hero action. Thwart. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. If I paid for this card using only the mental resource, confuse an enemy. I paid for it with just the mental resource. So I'm going to remove 3 threat from a scheme and get to confuse an enemy. 3 threat from the scheme. And now I get to confuse an enemy. And what confuse is, when I confuse an enemy, the next time that character would thwart or scheme, instead, they just get rid of this card. So we're going to confuse Rhino. That way he doesn't do like he did last time and just load up a bunch of threat on there. Next, I'm going to play this plasma pistol for 2. For 2. And what this is a restricted upgrade. So it is an upgrade that goes into play. It is restricted, so normally you can only have 2 restricted cards, period. Except that my special ability says I can have 3, but this is my first one. And then it has an ability called Uses, and it says 3 charges. And what that means is I put 3 charge counters on it. And then if it ever, since it says Uses, if it ever has no counters on it, then it gets discarded. And then as a hero action, I can choose to exhaust Plasma Pistol and remove 1 charge counter from it to deal 1 damage to an enemy. My next action will be to use this as a hero action to exhaust the Plasma Pistol, remove 1 charge counter from it, and deal 1 damage to an enemy. I will choose to do the 1 damage to Sandman, because remember, the next time Sandman takes damage, he has this tough ability. So I want to just do 1 damage so that I can get rid of this tough ability instead of him taking damage. Next, I'm going to have Star-Lord attack Sandman for 2 damage. So he does 2 damage to Sandman. And then he takes 1 consequence damage. Next, I'm going to have Venom attack Sandman for 2 damage, which is enough to finish off Sandman. And then I choose to go to my end step. I have 1 card left in hand, which is the making an entrance. I draw to my hand size of 5, so 1 in hand, 2, 3, 4, 5. We ready all of our cards. We accelerate 1 threat to the scheme. I am in hero form, so hence Rhino is going to attack. I'm going to choose not to defend, so he's going to do 2. And confuse only stops him from scheming, so he's still going to attack. So 2 plus 0, so he does 2 damage to me. No minions are in play. We deal an encounter card. Now we resolve the encounter card, which is a minion. And it has Incite 1. So what Incite 1 means is it adds 1 threat to the scheme. And then the other word on here is Surge, which we kind of talked about already. So Surge means we got to deal ourselves another card. Put the hit points on here. And then Surge is Ancient Grudge. When revealed, Kang activates against you. If Kang is not in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for Kang and put him into play engaged with you, then shuffle the encounter deck. He is a minion, but he has toughness, so he's going to get a tough card on him. He's villainous, which means he gets boost cards when he attacks and schemes. He has 6 hit points. And he gets +1 scheme and +1 attack for each obligation in your play area. Sorry, that got me wondering because of his ability about the obligations in your play area that I might have been playing obligations wrong, but what it is Kang has some obligations that he puts into your play area. Which now makes me realize there's one of my playthroughs I did where I thought this was referring to like Kang being the villain, but now I realized it was talking about this. So the time when I got rid of it because it said you cannot attack Kang, or what it was, if I remember right, I chose not to attack the bad guy because I thought, oh, well, I'm not playing against Kang. This says I cannot attack Kang. I'm gonna pretend like it's because I'm afraid of that person. But now I understand that this would have just been in my area waiting to see if this minion came up. Oh well. Alright, gave that some shuffles. Let's clean this all up. He gets 6 hit points. He gets tough. And those time displaced soldiers just messed up my whole turn next turn. Alright, we go back to the beginning of my turn. Alright, I'm going to play this scare tactic. Costs 1. And it's a hero action. I'm in hero form. To deal 3 damage to a confused enemy. The only confused enemy we have is Rhino, so I'm going to do 3 damage to Rhino. Almost forgot. Because the first 5 damage has to go to this, so there's 3 off of that. We have to get rid of his armored Rhino suit first. Next, I'm going to use my hero action here to exhaust the plasma pistol, remove 1 charge counter from it to deal 1 damage to an enemy, which will be Kang, so I can get rid of this tough card. Next, I'm going to use the hero action here for Jack Flag, which says exhaust Jack Flag and remove an ammo counter from him to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So I'll exhaust Jack Flag, remove an ammo counter from him to do 2 damage to an enemy. So I'll do 2 damage to Kang. Next, I'll have Star-Lord attack Kang for 2 damage. And then Star-Lord takes 1 consequential damage, which is enough to KO him. Next, I'll have Venom attack Kang for 2 damage, which is enough to KO Kang. Next, I'm going to switch to my alter ego form. I'm going to go to my end step. I'm going to discard these 2 cards from hand. I'll keep this one in hand still. So I have 1. Now I draw up to 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ready all of our cards. Add 1 threat to the scheme. Because of the acceleration. I am in alter ego form, so Rhino is going to scheme, but he has confused, so instead of scheming, he just gets rid of confused. Next, the minions activate, and because I'm in alter ego form, they will scheme, but they don't get the boost card, so they're just going to scheme for 1 and add another threat to the scheme. Then we go to the encounter phase. And now we resolve the encounter, which is Another attachment, attach the Rhino. It's giving him +3 attack. And the next time Rhino attacks, he's going to, basically, it's going to be a big attack because he's going to gain overkill. But then it discards this. So he's basically going to do +3 damage, overkill. So that means if I block with one of my allies, he's going to overkill into me and do extra damage to me. Then we go back to the beginning of my turn. I'm going to play Project Rebirth 2.0. It costs me 1. It is an upgrade that I can put into play. And now I have, if I'm in alter ego form, as an action, I can exhaust this card, Project Rebirth 2.0, to choose to either draw a card or heal 3 damage from Flash Thompson. But it can only be done when I'm in alter ego form. Well, I'm in alter ego form, so I'm going to exhaust this card to heal for 3 damage. I do have that big attack coming in. Next, I'm going to have Jack Flag choose to thwart the scheme for 2. So he gets rid of 2 threat off the scheme. He has a response after he thwarts. Place 1 ammo counter on him. And then now he has to take his consequence damage. So he takes 1. Next, I'm going to flip over to my hero form. I'm going to choose to put another upgrade on myself. Costs 2. 2. And now I got Spider Sense, which is a hero interrupt, that when the villain initiates an attack against me, I get to draw a card. So if I'm in hero form, I get to draw a card when they attack me. Well, when the villain attacks me. Next, I'm going to choose to thwart the scheme with Venom. As an interrupt, I'm going to play this hero interrupt event that says, it's an interrupt when my hero makes a basic thwart, which is what I'm doing, a basic thwart. I get +2 thwart for that thwart. After that thwart ends, if my hero removed all the threat from a scheme that way, I get to heal 2 damage from my hero. So I'm paying for this 1 here. So now I'm thwarting for 3, which there's exactly 3 on the scheme. And since I removed all the threat, I get to heal 2 damage from my hero. Taking me back to 10. With that, I'm going to choose, I have no more cards in hand. I'm going to choose to go to my end step. Draw to my hand size of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We ready all of our cards. We accelerate the scheme for 1. I am in hero form, so Rhino's going to choose to attack me. I have this Spider Sense here that says when the villain initiates an attack against me, I get to draw a card. So I draw a card. I'm going to choose to defend because that is a lot of damage coming in. So we have 3, 4, 5. I wouldn't have defended, but I didn't know it was going to be a 0. So it's 5 minus 2. So I would take 3 damage. Because that was 3 because of this, 4, 5. But now this goes away. Now the minion attacks. He doesn't get the boost card. I'm not defending because I'm already exhausted, so I just take 2 damage. Now we go to the encounter phase. Deal an encounter card. And it is gang up. If I'm in alter ego form, gain surge. I'm not. I'm in hero form. The villain and each minion engaged with you attacks you. Oh my goodness. Well, I cannot defend because I'm already exhausted. But I do have this, that when the villain initiates an attack against you, draw a card. Guess I'm hoping for that one that... I know I had one. I don't know how many were in there. But there was a card that's in my discard pile now that just cancels an attack. That is definitely not it. Well, I cannot defend, so 2. Oh. I deal myself 1 face down encounter card. So deal myself 1 face down encounter card, which is another charge. So 2 damage. And then I just realized this said the villain and the minion, which means I took a chance there because I would have defended with Jack Flag here, but I thought it was just the villain attacks me. No, it says the villain and each minion. I'm at 3. The minion can only do 2 damage. So I think I'm just going to let him attack me and take me to 1. So we go back to the beginning of my turn. I'm going to go ahead and put this upgrade into play. The multi-gun cost me 3. Is an upgrade. So the difference between a support and an upgrade is technically these upgrades are actually on my character, whereas the support is something that's just off to the side and is like an extra card, kind of like the ally that you can just kind of use. So technically all these are on my hero. And these have restricted, but remember my special ability is now I have 2 restricteds. So I would normally not be able to have more than 1 restricted card, but my special ability allows me to have an additional restricted card. I'm going to go ahead and exhaust the plasma pistol as a hero action. Exhaust plasma pistol, remove a charge counter from it to deal 1 damage to an enemy. So I'll deal 1 damage to the time displaced soldier. And then this has useless on it, which means when all the charge counters are off of it, it's discarded. I'm going to use this hero action for this upgrade here, which says exhaust the multi-gun here and choose one of the following. I can either choose to do 2 damage to an enemy, remove 2 threat from a scheme, or choose a player and deal 1 damage to each minion engaged with that player. Just going to choose to do 2 damage to an enemy, which will be the time displaced soldier here, enough to finish it off. Next, I'm going to use the hero action here as Jack Flag. To exhaust Jack Flag, remove 1 ammo counter from him to deal 2 damage to an enemy. Do 2 damage to Rhino. It's the last 2 damage for the armored Rhino suit, so that gets rid of that. Next, I'm going to put this Venom's pistol into play. Costs 1 to do it. It's a restricted. Puts me back at 2 restricted objects again. As a hero interrupt, when I use one of Venom's basic powers, I exhaust Venom's pistol, and I get +1 for using that power. So it basically makes all these on the hero side +1, as long as I can tap, when I exhaust that. Just for that use, though. Next, I'm going to go into alter ego form. I'm going to exhaust Project Rebirth here, and I'm going to choose to heal for 3. Taking me to 4. I'll go to my end phase. Keep this 1 card in hand. Draw it to my hand size of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Deck's getting pretty low. If your deck ever runs out, you reshuffle your discard pile in, but then you have to deal yourself an encounter card to take care of, kind of like what happened when I brought Star-Lord out. Alright, ready all my cards. Accelerate the scheme for 1 threat. I am in alter ego form, so he is going to scheme for 1, 2. And I guess I didn't talk about it, but I'll go ahead and show. yeah, that was the star I was talking about, and that's where you just do whatever's underneath that line where it shows the star. In this case, yeah, I just added to it. Just realized I should have mentioned that earlier, just in case you're new and I just kind of glossed over it. So yeah, he adds 2 threat to the scheme. No minions, so deal ourselves an encounter card. Resolve the encounter card, which is a side scheme. And what a side scheme is, it's a scheme that comes into play, and it basically just becomes something that's kind of a nuisance in the game. So like in this case, panicked civilians crowd the area. It is difficult to confront Rhino without putting them at risk. Get the people to safety. And what it does, it's adding this crisis icon. And the crisis icon is, I have to take care of this scheme before I can do anything against that scheme. So we put this into play. It gets 2 per number of players. So 2 threat. Then we go back to the beginning of my turn. Going to do the alter ego action, exhaust Project Rebirth 2.0 to heal for 3. I always love the alter ego card that comes with every character. They're always so strong. It's just when you get them. I'm going to go ahead and have Jack Flag exhaust to thwart that crowd control. So he gets rid of both the threat, which removes the crowd control, so that now we can actually do the break-in if we need to. It's going to add a counter to him, but he's going to have to take the consequence damage, so he's KO'd anyways. Gonna switch Flash Thompson to my hero form. I'm gonna go ahead and put Venom's pistol into play. Paying 1 for it. Normally, like I said, restricted, max 2 restricted cards per player, but and his special ability gives me 3, so I have 3 here. Next, I'm gonna play this side holster here, which basically now is just like adding another, I can have an extra weapon upgrade that has the restricted keyword. So I'm just turning into a one-man war machine here. So now that I can have another restricted as long as it's a weapon, I'm gonna play this plasma pistol for 2. I'm going to choose to have Venom thwart the scheme. We're going to give it +1 and +1 on that basic action he's doing, so he's thwarting for 3. So he removes 3 threat. And then we're going to use the hero action to exhaust this to deal 2 damage to an enemy. Taking Rhino to 3. We're going to exhaust the plasma pistol. Remove the counter to do 1 damage to Rhino. Taking him to 2. We're going to go to my end phase, or end step. I'm going to keep this in hand. Yeah, this could have knocked him out. I just wanted to get all this stuff out. I figured it's better to go ahead and just move on into it and hopefully just, because especially since I'm going to have another encounter card. So I'm going to have to deal with 2 encounter cards this turn. So I was like, let's wait 1 more turn, see what happens here. Alright, anyways. So I have 1 in hand. Draw up to my hand size of 5. So 1, 2. We have to reshuffle. Because we're reshuffling, we have to deal ourselves an extra encounter card. But we do not deal with that until the encounter phase or step. Alright, should be enough shuffles there. We're drawing up. We have to draw up to 5. We only got 2 in hand at the moment. So 2, 3, 4, and 5. We ready our cards. We have 1 threat to the scheme for acceleration. I am in hero form, so he is going to attack me. He's at 3, 4-5 because that charge is going to activate. Ugh. I think it's the most I've ever defended, especially with a Justice. But I'm going to defend. And it, as an interrupt, I'm using a basic action. So I am going to make it to where it's -4 on that attack. So he's doing 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my goodness. So 5 minus 4. So I'm only taking 1. No minion. Charge goes away. No minions. Deal ourselves an encounter card. Now we have to deal with the encounter cards. First one is Stampede. When in hero form, Rhino attacks you. If a character is damaged by this attack, that character is stunned. Well, yeah, I'm taking damage from this attack. There's no way for me to defend. So, oh, you know what? I forgot when he attacked me, I was able to draw a card. To say I'm not going to see if it affects anything there, but that first time he attacked me, I would have drawn this. But now he's attacking me again. Maybe I get that one that lets me cancel out an attack? Nope. Just, man, I have all this energy with nothing to spend it on. Well, it's going to do 2, 4 damage. I had no way to defend against it, so taking me to 2. And then now we have to do the other encounter card. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is going south real fast. So this is a really bad card. It's Shadows of the Past. It's in the standard deck. Basically, when revealed, reveal your set-aside Nemesis minion and put it into play engaged with you. So what that means is, normally every deck has one Nemesis depending on the character you're playing, and that's what you have to put in play against you. In this case, Venom has 4 Nemesis that all come into play. Now, they're real easy to knock out, but they're a pain because they have guard, which means I have to take out all of these before I can do anything against Rhino damage-wise, or I can't attack Rhino. Also, it has patrol, which means while this minion is engaged with you, I cannot thwart the main scheme either. So, yeah, that just happened. I'm just going to stack them like this. And then also, reveal your set-aside Nemesis side scheme and put it into play, which is this, which means this is side scheme, which is just like with that other side scheme. It's going to put 2 threat on there per player. So 2. This means it deals an extra encounter card during the encounter phase. And this cannot have this removed, cannot remove the threat from this until all the symbiotes are KO'd. Alright. Boy, we having fun on this one. So 2 threat. I'm going to try to get rid of that. What is it? The Venom symbiote is distraught, bonding with everyone it touches and sending them into a destructive rage. Lovely. Shuffle the rest of the set-aside Nemesis encounter set into the encounter deck. So normally when there's only one Nemesis and one side scheme for the Nemesis or Nemesis scheme, the other ones are like just other cards that get shuffled in. In this case, there's no side cards. Well, luckily that all happened during the encounters. Now we go to the beginning of my turn. Because first I'm going to do Savage Attack. Pain 2. I'm not going to get the overkill, but I have to waste this 5 damage just to take out a symbiote. So I take out 1 symbiote. That's just the way it kind of goes. Man, when that Shadows of the Past hits, it really it devastates you in a game, especially in solo. I'm having issues deciding, actually, I don't know why I'm thinking that hard on it. I have to do the thing that Because either way, if I don't go into alter ego form, if I stay in the attack form, I can defend against one attack, but then I can't do anything against all that. So he'll eventually just take me down. So I have to go in alter ego form to heal. But then that means they're going to scheme, and the odds are he's going to hit that, or I think we hit one of the scheme cards already. We hit one of them. So odds are we're just going to hit the other one. I will hidden in sight. Oh. Well, we have to do the one that we know is going to give me the best chance of winning. So we're going to exhaust multi-gun and choose to do 2 damage to an enemy, taking out another symbiote. I'm going to exhaust plasma pistol, remove a counter to do 1 damage to an enemy. Has to be an enraged symbiote. Going to switch to the alter ego form. Gonna exhaust Project Rebirth. Think I just have to heal. 3, 4, 5. I was just gonna discard all these, but I might as well just put them into play. Basically, putting these into play, they're 1 apiece. Now, so discarding both of these. They're basically a resource. I mean, during the resource, I could discard this to generate a... So it's just I'm floating the resource to later to where I can hopefully afford some stuff. Yep, that's all I got. Let's see if we can survive this. So we're going to my... I'm hoping to draw some stuff. I know he has one that stops attack. I don't remember if he had one that stops a scheme. Well, I guess we'll see. Do I keep this in hand? It does let me heal. It'll let me knock those out. I'm going to keep this, see if we can make it through that. Alright, so I got 1 in hand. I draw up to 6, so I got to draw 5 more. 1, 2, that's not helpful. 3. It'll help me take out some symbiotes, but 4, 5, no. That's not looking good. Well, all right, ready all of our stuff. And unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to stop the scheming, so we're going to see what happens here. I'm pretty sure this is done because this is going to accelerate and add a threat. I am in alter ego form. So he is going to scheme for 1. Oh, hey. 0. So 4. The minions each scheme. 5, 6. So we're not done yet. But here's the problem. We have to deal ourselves an encounter card. And then this one's going to deal us another encounter card. So we got to hope for no insights and no insights and no schemes. We got Fear of Kang here. All right, that's a good one to hit. I mean, Kang already beat up, so this just goes into it's an obligation. This is the one I said I played wrong, basically, in another game. So it basically, as long as this is in my play area, I cannot attack Kang if he comes back out. And as an alter ego action, I can discard a random card from my hand and then discard this obligation. I'm okay with this. This still keeps me in the game. Oh, Stampede. We're in alter ego form, so this card gains surge. It means deal ourselves another card. Ugh. Oh, it's my obligation. So when every character you play has one of these obligations, and they get shuffled into the encounter deck, and then it has to go to the person who played that. In this case, it goes to. I'm in solo, so I'm the only one that it's here, but it goes to me. I may flip to alter ego form. I'm already there. And then I have to make a decision on how I'm going to do this one. It's exhaust Flash Thompson and take 2 damage. And then I discard this obligation. What's this one? Put 1 set-aside copy of Enraged Symbiote into play, engaged with the first player. If you cannot, this card gains Surge. Discard this obligation. Oh, so this one, normally they have an option to let you discard the obligation. So it means it can be shuffled back in the deck and you'll have to deal with it possibly again. Or they have one that lets you get rid of the obligation permanently. This one doesn't have that. But I don't think I can choose this second option because it says put 1 set-aside copy of Enraged Symbiote into play, engage with the first player. I don't have any more set aside. So I think if I don't choose this first one, exhaust Flash Thompson, take 2 damage, discard this obligation. So I either have to choose to exhaust myself and take 2 damage, or gain Surge and deal another card. Oh, man. And exhausting him is not going to help me be able to take care of this stuff. What'd I draw? Yeah, if I have a chance of pulling any of this off, I'm going to... Well, I don't want it to gain Surge. So I'm going to have to do this first option. Because if I hit something that makes me scheme, that's it. It's done already. And I do have a card in my hand that lets me re-ready him. So, yep, I'm going to exhaust Flash Thompson and take 2 damage. Man, this one's pretty hairy. I did not expect it to go this long. This is probably the longest one I've done. I have to try to edit this one down a lot. All right, well, actually, we survived that. It's not looking good, but we survived it. Let's go to the beginning of my turn. Let's see if we can do this somehow. All right, I might actually be able to pull this one out if I'm looking at this correctly. Well, not pull it out, but I might at least be able to get this under control a little bit. So let's heal Flash Thompson for 3 by exhausting Project Rebirth 2.0. Let's flip to hero form. Let's exhaust the plasma pistol for its last charge to do 1 damage to the other enraged symbiote. That gets rid of plasma pistol. I'm going to exhaust the multi-gun to remove 2 threat from a scheme. It has to be this one. Oh, no, I can't do that one because the symbiotes are in play. So then I'll just exhaust that to do 1 damage. It says choose a player, deal 1 damage to each minion engaged with that player. Because normally when a minion comes into play, they actually go up in your play area and they're engaged with that player. Just I'm playing solo, so I just like to keep them all in the same area. So anyways, yeah, multi-gun actually deals 1 damage to each one. That's right, that's the reason I did that. Sorry, I was just trying to figure out how to dig myself up out of this hole. And this is what I was thinking. I'm going to do, run and gun for 3. It's a hero action, ready Venom and each weapon upgrade I control. So I get to ready Venom and each weapon. Too bad I couldn't use those. Now's what I was thinking. I'm exhausting the multi-gun to get rid of the 2 threat off of this. Now there's no symbiotes in play. And I need to get rid of some of that threat, so I'm exhausted. So I'm doing his basic action to thwart. And since it's a basic one, as a hero interrupt, when I use one of Venom's basic powers, exhaust Venom's pistols. Venom gets +1 to that power for this use. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm doing this making an entrance, which costs 1, which gives me +2 thwart for that thwart. But if I can get rid of it all, I would heal for 2 damage. I'm not going to be able to get rid of it all. So it's going to be just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I cleared the board. We'll see how the encounter goes now. But that's all my cards in my hand. I thought about spending these and saving some of that, do it, but I'm hoping to draw. We're getting into the hairy area here. But alright, so we did all that. I have no cards in hand. I have no more actions I can do. What was this one? I think it's alter ego form. Discard a random card from hand. Discard the obligation. Unless Kane comes back out, I have no reason to do that one. So, yep, we draw up to our hand size of 5. 1. Oh, that would have been nice to have this turn. 2, 3, 4, 5. Ready all of our stuff. Let's see what we got to deal with this time. He's been keeping me busy to where I can't just take care of him. Accelerate 1 threat to the scheme. I'm in hero form. I'm not defending. I'm just going to take this damage and hope that I can do something this time. So 2, 3 damage. There's no minions. So we go to the encounter phase. Now we have to deal with the encounter, which is hard to keep down. Oh my goodness. That's all I needed him to draw. When revealed, Rhino heals 4 damage. If he couldn't heal, this would gain Surge. Well, we can heal, taking him back to 6. Come on, man. Why are you hanging on here? Just go to sleep, man. Just go to sleep. Alright, but that was not bad. Maybe we can actually do something this time. I did forget, when the villain initiates an attack against me, I got to draw a card. So I do have that in hand. So we're going to exhaust multi-gun to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So we'll do 2 damage to Rhino. Taking him to 4. We are going to exhaust Venom, or do his basic attack action, which is for 2, 3, 4, which is enough to KO him from this stage. So he's going to his next stage, and now you're going to finally see what I've been worried about, because he gets more attack, and then it says go search the encounter deck and discard pile for the break it and take inside scheme and reveal it. Shuffle the encounter deck. I don't think we've seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so it's got to be in here still. Oh, I guess not. I guess we must have seen it. Oh, there it is. So normally, this is when I would first start talking about how side schemes work, but I would have shuffled it anyways. Shouldn't have went through it. But, and if this deck ever runs out, which you can see it's getting pretty close. If this deck ever runs out, this is definitely the longest I've ever done in a playthrough of the starter deck. But as far as like for solo on these. But if this ever runs out, it basically adds an extra acceleration marker here to where it's putting more per turn at that beginning phase or step. But yeah, so this break and take is going to come out. It's going to put 2 on here, 2 threat on here, and it's going to get an extra 1 per number of players, so it's going to have 3 on there. And basically it makes me have to deal with an extra encounter. So normally I try to time it to where I can get rid of it so I don't have to deal with the encounters, and then that other one came down because of Shadows of the Past anyways, so I had to deal with it anyways. But alright, let's give these a few shuffles. And I think I have a card in hand to take care of this. Break it and take it, then we'll just have to do another round. And we'll see how this goes. Go. So, as a hero action, I'm going to do behind enemy lines. Paying for it for 2. It is a thwart. I get to remove 3 threat from a scheme. And if I paid for this card using only mental resources, I get to confuse an enemy. It was only mental resources. So, removing 3 threat gets rid of the breaking and taken. And we're going to confuse Rhino, so he's not... So next time he would go to scheme, he does not. I don't remember if this was the turn that I already done, where I switched from Alter Ego. I'm assuming not, because I would have used this. Of course, I could have forgot, but I don't think so. So if I did, sorry, I'm cheating, but I don't think it is the turn I did. So I'm switching to Alter Ego form. And exhausting Project Rebirth to heal for 3. Oh, other direction. Oh, and actually, I forgot to take Rhino to his new hit points. So all we gotta do, he has 15 per number of players. So if I can knock him out this time, I can finally pull this win out. We'll see if it happens. And actually, I set my hand to the side and just forgot. I don't know why. Before I switch there and heal, this isn't going to really make a huge difference. I meant to do this hero action. It costs 2. So I'm going to pay the 2. And it's basically just going to do 5 damage to him. So... But now I have no cards in hand. So I draw up to my hand size of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ready my stuff. Accelerate the scheme. I am in Alter Ego form, so he's going to scheme. He is confused, so instead he just becomes unconfused. There are no minions in play. We go to the encounter phase, deal ourselves 1 encounter card. It is a Hydra Mercenary. He basically just has the guard ability, so I have to take him out before I can do anything else against Rhino. I actually forgot those are in the deck. I haven't seen those in so long. But we go back to the beginning of my turn. Man, we are actually... Oh, well, maybe. I'm not going to get too cocky. Don't get cocky, kid. I'll go ahead and heal for 3 damage. I probably actually should have drawn the card. It probably would have helped me more, but I like to play it safe. Let's flip to hero form. I'll bring out the plasma pistol. I do have 1 more restricted slot because 1, 2 for the normal, 1 for my ability, and then I still have my side holster. So 2, paying 2 for the other plasma pistol. Stack these again. I'm going to exhaust Plasma Pistol, use 1 token to do 1 damage to the Hydra Mercenary. I'm going to exhaust Multi-Gun to do 2 damage to an enemy to take out the Hydra Mercenary. Man, I got so much space I'm taking up here. Sorry, I normally keep it zoomed in so that y'all can see stuff. Oh, I'll just make some space right here. Because I'm going to... As resource, discard resourceful, generate a wild, discard a resource, generate a wild. Discard those 2. Bring out Jack Flag again. I wasn't gonna do that because I didn't feel like I needed to, but I'm worried that deck's getting pretty low. We have not seen that last scheme card come down. So I'm going to have Jack Flag go ahead and thwart the scheme. So he gets rid of 2. It adds an ammo. And he takes 1 consequence damage. I'm going to go ahead and have Venom attack for 2, 3, 4. Taking Rhino to 6. And I guess I should have done his ability, kept that rise running gun, because I probably could have saved me. But I'm getting cocky. I think I got it, but let's see what happens for his turn, because I have no more actions I can do. Have no cards in hand. So we're going to draw up to our hand size of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to assume Star-Lord just got me in trouble at the beginning. That's why it's taking so long. No, I'm going to admit, I think I got pretty lucky. There's at least twice I could think of where I hit zeros when I thought I was done. All right, here we go. We got ready first. Add a threat to the scheme. He is going to attack. I am going to choose to take it. So 3. Yep, there's the last one. 3, 0. So I only take 3 damage. Taking me to 6, and that should be enough. Well, let's see what happens with this encounter. No minions. We have an encounter card dealt to us. Oh my goodness, just keep putting people in my way. Get out of the way. Alright, back to the beginning of my turn. Yeah, I have this. Okay. Whew. We're going to Plasma Pistol. Move that to do 1 damage to Hydra Mercenary. We'll exhaust Multi-Gun. Well, it doesn't matter whether I do this or this. So, exhaust Multi-Gun to do 2 damage to an enemy. So, 2 damage to Hydra Mercenary. Oh, I forgot when he attacked me I was supposed to draw another card. Yeah, I'm going to do it. And then Venom initiates an attack against you. Draw a card. Do I need it? I'm going to use the hero action on Jack Flag to exhaust Jack Flag and remove 1 ammo counter from him to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So take Rhino to 4. We're just going to do this. I'm going to play behind enemy lines. Cost 2. It removes 3 threat from a scheme. I'm going to pay 2 to bring out Plasma Pistol. Now I am restricted to the 4. I already have 4 out here, so what that means I have to get rid of 1. So I'll just put the new Plasma Pistol into play. Which is the way it works. Basically, you can choose to, it checks, you can only have that a certain number in play, and then it just chooses to discard down to them. Once again, 2 because of normal, 1 because of Venom, and 1 because of my side holster. Anyways, exhaust Plasma Pistol, remove a counter, do 1 damage to Rhino. And then have Venom attack with the basic attack of 2. And I could have just finished it off without the Plasma Pistol, but I just wanted to drain my hand also. 3, 4, because these add +1, which is enough to knock out Rhino. Ooh, that one got hairy. That one was... I've never had that, and I'm sorry this was so long, guys. I've never had to get that low. What was left in there? Oh, another obligation from Kang. Stampede. You know, as much as I've gone through them, I don't think I've ever hit that card, as far as an attachment at least. If I have, I just don't remember it. But alright, that was fun, guys. It was interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part, but man, that was there was definitely several times when I was sitting there trying to figure out. I thought that Shadows of the Past was just. I thought it just tanked me. I didn't see myself coming back from that. But I guess that shows. Good game, right on the edge of my seat, but it was fun. Sorry it took so long. Now I get the fun of trying to see. I don't know how I would build him. I think I almost agree with what they went with, which was Justice. But he had a lot of cards like this one. This would have been great for me. But I had to find a way to confuse. And the only way I saw to really confuse was that one card of his. Yeah, the behind enemy lines. But I have to have those mental resources. And I did confuse him twice. And I saw this Sonic Rifle I kept getting rid of. But it was 3. Well, I guess much as I kept seeing those come up. Yeah. I don't know. But I can almost see that same thing. But definitely you got to get, man, that multi-gun's so good. If you can get that one out, and this was so good. I mean, I think the Alter Ego, if that Alter Ego card that's in every deck, if you can get that out early, it just feels like you just got like an advantage to a degree. I mean, being able to just sit there and heal, of course that might have been why this took so long. I kept switching back and forth, but it just felt like I needed to. But man, I hit the Shadows of the Past. I hit both of his. Oh, I just never could take him over to the form I needed to take him into. But anyways, this is long enough, so I do want to get it to the end. Sorry to rush it. I might build a Venom deck. It was interesting, for sure. It was different. But, alright. Well, thank you for watching, and have a great day.